I'm Chris Yannick. Today on CYInterview, we welcome the CEO of the Palm Beach Symphony, Mr. David McClymont. David, thanks so much for being with us on CYInterview. The Palm Beach Symphony is celebrating 50 years this year. How are you, sir?
I'm doing terrific, and thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you. And also joining us today, of course, is CYInterview sponsor, the founder of Epic Financial Strategies, LLC, Mr. Rob Gill. Rob, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Happy, what's today? Trajectory Tuesday, everybody.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I agree, Rob. You know, I love hearing about Trajectory Tuesday. David, he's got a word for every day of inspiration. That's for sure. Anyways, to begin, why don't you just tell me, David, what the job as the CEO of the Palm Beach Symphony entails before we get into a few more of the topics?
Chris, that's a good question, and that's a question I'm asked quite often. It's multifaceted, as you might imagine. It's never the same. It's obviously working very closely with our committed board. It's working very closely with our donor base. We have a team of about 8 incredible team members. It's helping inspire them, give them the tools to be successful. A lot of it is visioning. A lot of it is strategic planning, looking 2-3 years out into the future and trying to understand the data. I'm a bit of a data nerd, so I say that data drives decisions. And it's just working closely with the team and the board to make sure that we're following what the data is telling us in terms of the metrics and the KPIs so that we can continue to elevate not only our mission, but the impact that we're making right here in South Florida.
So, Rob, if you read David's bio, what he just said is so true. He says that show business is a data-driven business. He believes data drives decisions and success is realized by building consensus among all stakeholders. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that the science is deep. I love that. The distinctions within the distinctions within the distinctions. Sensory acuity. Tony Robbins talks about if you're an Eskimo, there's 12 different definitions of snow versus if you live in LA, there's one definition, or Vegas. And I think that's what we're talking about when it comes to data and being able to create a level of predictability to then go into a model of scale.
Oh, I agree with you. No denying that. So David, what does it mean? 50 years of classical music at the Palm Beach Symphony. What does this mean to you guys? What are you guys celebrating this year?
This is an exciting milestone for us and for the team to be a part of celebrating 50 years of Palm Beach Symphony being in existence and the tremendous growth that we've experienced in the last 6 or 8, specifically in the last 4, since we had our dynamic music director, Gerard Schwartz, who now has, I have to make sure the math's right because we just received this information, 11 Emmy nominations. I always used to say Gerard Schwartz, 9 Emmy nominations and 14 Grammy nominations. Well, we just got word this morning that we've been nominated for 2 more for one of our children's concerts called Eudora's Fable, the Shoebird. So it's been amazing. I mean, listen, for us to be able to have the opportunity to work for a great organization like ours that's making tremendous impact right here in South Florida and to go into our 50th anniversary is really exciting. We've engaged DeVos Institute, Michael Kaiser, who was the head of the Kennedy Center for many years, to work with us to create our first strategic plan. So now we're looking literally 5 years out to try to understand how do we sustain this growth that we've had.
So Rob, as you can imagine, David worked with a lot of accomplished people in Palm Beach, well-established people. I'm sure you've got a couple of questions for him in that area.
Yeah, I mean, listen, relationship capital is a very important thing. And David, my question to you is, as you begin to meet people, is there, what does that look like if you're going to spend time to create that relationship? Do you make decisions? Like, what does that look like for you to be able to say, okay, this is a person I want to get to know with integrity, of course, right? Because your time matters as well. And how do you go about that as you're stacking and building everything that you've put together?
That's a brilliant question. And we are in the relationship business, right? So if you look at this organization and the success that it's had, we have been successful because of our incredible board. The relationships that those individuals have here in the community, the relationship that we as the team have with the board, and then the committee structure that we have. But to your point about developing personal relationships, absolutely. I'm a relationship person. I think that personally for myself, why I have been successful in any level of what you'd want to define as success has been because I've developed altruistic relationships. I spent 15 years working at a phenomenal country club called Bear Lakes Country Club. And I had something happen to me when I left there and I went to become CEO at Loggerhead Marine Life Center. I had a lot of the members from Bear Lakes that were Gulf members that could care less about marine conservation come visit me at Loggerhead Marine Life Center because we'd established those relationships. So I think to be successful in life, not just in business, you have to create altruistic relationships. And I love to read. I'm an avid reader. One of my favorite books is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's one of my many favorite books. And in that book, as you all know, they talk about the emotional bank account. And I think our goal and our opportunity in life to be successful personally and professionally is to make more deposits in those emotional bank accounts than you do withdrawals. And I honestly think if you do that, you're going to be successful both personally and professionally in life.
Quick question. Thank you. That's amazing. I love the deposits, and I love that the byproduct is you'll live the life of fulfillment. Is there any other books that you recommend? It sounds like you're in the peak performance mindset, thought mindset kind of stuff. I'd love to hear about any other book that you like.
Absolutely. So you asked that question as I look at my bookshelf right now. There are so many. I'm a student of the Starbucks Corporation. Obviously, we're in the customer service business, so I've read all the Starbucks books, wow. Starbucks Experience, all the Ritz-Carlton books, the Disney books.
Okay, so experience. You're focusing on experience, on outcome whenever you.
Well, and professional development too. You know, I love to read. Right now, I'm reading The Contrarian Leader. I just finished up Dare to Lead with Brené Brown. I felt that book was really interesting because it talked about vulnerability, which for a CEO sometimes can be scary. You know, I think that a lot of times people felt that CEOs and leaders weren't allowed to be vulnerable. And it was fascinating to have Brené Brown talk about it is okay to be vulnerable. And it's healthy from a cultural standpoint to let our teams know that we're not perfect as CEOs. And we do need their help and their guidance. And we do need buy-in and consensus.
I love that. And the contrarian leader, is that a mismatch or by design or by default, or like what's the whole? I love that. I
just started it, and it's about the former president of USC.
Okay.
And he's explaining the contrarian philosophy, and it isn't completely contrarian like you would think about in investing where you're going the opposite way.
Okay.
It's just doing things that weren't standard to what management philosophy was meant to be.
Okay.
And he goes into great detail about some of the things that he did within USC to build USC to be what it is today through that contrarian leadership model.
Chris, just so you know, one of the best interviews I've had with you so far is this right now because David is speaking my language at the highest level. No doubt I've had great interviews, but by far and away, this is without a doubt my favorite right up into this moment.
Oh, I can understand that, Rob. Before you got in the room and we were talking with David, I knew you guys were going to hit it off immediately. So, yeah. David, the only thing I want to know that I haven't asked you yet is like, what is the mission to keep classical music going in Palm Beach? You know, we were talking before this recording about how classical arts, you know, they're becoming less and less throughout the United States. It's becoming more of a challenge to keep these kind of things going. Like, what is your mission statement? How do you keep it going?
That's another great question, Chris. Our mission statement is to engage, educate, and entertain through classical music. So we basically have 3 pillars of our mission. We want to engage people in Palm Beach County, which is a county of 1.7 million people now. We feel there's an opportunity to engage people. We want to, once we've engaged them, educate them. And it's not just the younger demographic, it's all of Palm Beach County. We feel there's an opportunity to educate them. And then it's to entertain them. As it relates to our educational component, we are very proud with the incredible team that we have under the direction of Olga Vasquez, who's our Director of Artistic Operations and Education, that we've educated 70,000 Palm Beach County students. There's only 170,000 in the 10th largest school district in the United States of America. Well, we've educated 70,000 Palm Beach County students. We've given away about 400 instruments. We just came off this past week, and the timing's perfect, hosting 3 completely sold out children's concerts of Carnival of More Animals. And I say Carnival of More Animals because the music director, Gerard Schwartz, and Olga Vasquez rearranged the traditional Saison Carnival of Animals to become Carnival of More Animals. And they engaged Forrest Galante, the very famous animal conservationist that's got this huge social media following, to come narrate. And we just came off of hosting 3 sold out concerts, 2 out in the Glades in Belglade, 1 at the Kravis Center in front of 2,200 Palm Beach County students. So to us, we take education very serious. The team is award-winning with their educational outreach. And we realize, listen, the only way that we can sustain our art form, and this is where I become very business-centric, it's no different than if Tim Cook wants to sustain the terrific growth that Apple's created with all their products and services, right? We have to get to the younger demographic. So if Palm Beach Symphony is going to be successful, we have to engage that younger demographic. We have to educate that younger demographic. And then we have to hopefully entertain that younger demographic so that we can set ourselves up for success for the next 50 years. Another big part of that too is 6 or 7 years ago, we created a very dynamic Young Friends group. And we shot for the stars. We went to the 15 most influential young entrepreneurs, doctors, architects, business leaders in Palm Beach County. And we said, will you please join our executive committee for the Young Friends? Well, that was about 6 or 7 years ago. Fast forward to today, we're 100 members strong. We just hosted the season opening reception at the Colony Hotel last week in front of 100 people, sold out. And now we have this army of fans that are helping us support the 3 pillars of our mission: to engage, educate, and entertain. And it's almost like a silo. It's a fan base. If you look at it, it's this younger demographic of 20s, 30s, and 40s that either have children or they're getting ready to have children. And our goal is to get them more involved so that hopefully they become our future board members and our future major donors.
Rob, final thoughts in these last 5 minutes for David? I'm sure there's a lot going through your mind.
Yeah, process, self, and influence mastery. I think that his voice cadence, tonality is undeniable. His energetic transference is second to none. Maybe Jay Bilstein would be number one, of course. And just hearing him with passion in his heart talk about not only what this is, but the pillars and the strategy on how to, once again, stack and build momentum and have all the oars going in the same direction at the same time. I mean, it's undeniable what I just heard, and I was able to hear at a 30,000 foot level, obviously, but my spidey senses tell me that there is a level of mastery here. And I think that if we look at, the Olympics, whoever comes in first, second, and third gets the glory. Whoever comes in fourth doesn't. And the difference between 99.9 versus 99.99 and then 99.999 and the 99.49s is 150 grand up to 56 million. And I think he's in multiple nines.
David? Thoughts?
I'm a little speechless. I'm honored, Rob. Thank you. It's something we take very serious, right? Yeah. All of us here are very passionate about what we do. And I think what happens for us is that it becomes this beautiful cycle. So we go out and passionately try to get people involved. In doing that, we raise a couple dollars. We then use those dollars to go out and create impact. And then we see the impact firsthand that we're creating with those dollars that we're raising. And we get more inspired and more motivated to raise more dollars because we realize in doing that, we can make more of a difference right here in Palm Beach County.
Well said. Last question for you, David, just because we like to. CYInterview, of course, as you know, is based here in Las Vegas. Again, what was it like watching Monday Night Football last night and seeing how we're doing?
Okay, so I have to qualify this by saying that I am a diehard Florida fan, specifically.
Yes, I understand.
Miami Marlins, Florida Panthers, Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are my team, and I don't want to jinx them because every single year it looks like they start out decent and then they fall apart. But I have to tell you, and having visited Vegas several times and having interviewed Coach Maurice 2 weeks ago, who's the coach of the Florida Panthers, who lost to the Knights.
Yep.
Las Vegas is doing something right. And I'd like to take a page out of Las Vegas's chapter to figure out how could Palm Beach County replicate some of the exciting things that they've done. It's amazing. It really is. To see the fan base that they've created out there. Vegas was always known for being Vegas. This is from my Floridian perspective. It was known for great hotels, great casinos, great food. But now, unbelievable sports teams that have all this energy. It was incredible to watch the game. It
really was. They no longer say they no longer
ceremony where they brought out the captain to do the Stanley Cup ceremony. Rob, you were saying?
Yeah, they no longer say. I think this has been the shift. They no longer say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That is correct.
Flip that, and I think that's been a good thing for Vegas.
And also, last thing, David, before we wrap up.
Chris Yandak.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah,
go, Rob, yes.
Chris Yandak has been excellent for Vegas. Just so we're clear.
Yeah. Me and David were talking about that, and we're going to find ways to all work together in the future because I got so many ideas. But in closing, I just want to say, David McClymont, thank you so much for being here, CEO of the Palm Beach Symphony. Congratulations on 50 years. It's very exciting, sir.
Chris, thank you. Thank you very much, Chris. And Rob, thank you. It's a pleasure to speak with both of you.
You too, David. Thank you.
And CYInterview sponsor Rob Gill, thank you so much as always for being here. And thank you both again for being on CYInterview today.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you for watching today's CY Interview segment from Las Vegas. Please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button to be updated on all future CY Interview content from Las Vegas and beyond.